They said Filipino English wasn't international enough. They said it sounded too casual, too local, too mixed with emotion. But guess what? The same accent they laughed at ended up echoing through the halls of the United Nations. For years, people mocked the Filipino way of speaking English. Some said it was funny. Others said it was confusing. But when the United Nations chose a Filipino speaker to represent Asia in a global summit, the world suddenly went quiet. That voice, that tone, that passion they all came from the Philippines. You see, the story isn't just about a speech. It's about pride, identity, and how one nation turned what people thought was a weakness into a symbol of global excellence. Let's go back a few years. Filipino English was always seen as different. Neutral accent, soft tone, friendly expressions. Wasn't British, it wasn't American, and it definitely wasn't what standard English sounded like. But here's the thing, Filipinos didn't need to sound like anyone else to be understood. They had their own flavor, and that's what made them special. When you travel across Asia, you'll notice something interesting. People from Japan, Korea, and China often struggle with conversational English. They can write it perfectly, but when it comes to speaking, confidence drops. But in the Philippines, kids grow up thinking, speaking, and even joking in English. It's not a subject, it's part of their daily lives. Filipino English comes naturally because of history, American influence, Western movies, English media, all of these shaped the language culture in the country. But Filipinos added their own twist. They mixed warmth, emotion, and clarity. That's why when a Filipino speaks, it feels personal, like they're talking to you, not at you. And that unique style is what caught the UN's attention. When they were looking for a speaker to represent Asia in a global youth conference, they needed someone who could speak clear, confident, and emotionally intelligent English. The world had no idea what was coming next. A young woman from Manila, born to a public school teacher and a tricycle driver, stepped onto the stage. She wasn't from a rich background. She didn't study abroad, but her voice carried a power that no one could ignore. Her name, Angela Cruz. Angela's story began in a small public school in Quezon City. She loved watching news anchors on TV and dreamed of being a speaker one day. People used to tease her accent, calling it Taglish, but she never stopped practicing. She read books out loud, mimicked speeches, and even recorded herself just to improve her pronunciation. Years later, when the United Nations opened a global speech competition on climate change, Angela decided to join. She didn't think she would win. She was up against native speakers from the US, the UK, Singapore, and India. But when her turn came, she spoke from her heart. Her speech wasn't full of big words or complex grammar. It was simple, emotional, and crystal clear. "We are not just victims of climate change," she said. "We are the generation that will rise and heal the earth." The crowd went silent. Then they stood up and clapped. That speech went viral overnight. Media outlets called her the voice of the new Asia. People were shocked to learn she was Filipino. Even more shocking, the UN invited her to speak again, this time at the main assembly in New York. When Angela stood at that UN podium, wearing a traditional Filipiniana dress with a Philippine flag pin on her chest, she didn't just represent herself. She represented every Filipino who ever got laughed at for their accent. Every call center agent who was told to sound more American. Every student who got mocked for saying comfort room instead of restroom. Her English wasn't British. It wasn't American. It was Filipino, and the world understood every word. People from other countries started asking, why are Filipinos so good at English? The answer lies in how the language is treated in the Philippines. It's not about memorizing grammar rules, it's about living the language. From kindergarten, Filipino kids learn both English and Filipino side by side. They watch Hollywood movies without subtitles. They sing English songs at karaoke nights. They write essays, chat online, and even dream in English. For them, it's not foreign, it's familiar. The call center industry also played a huge role. The Philippines became the call center capital of the world because of how well Filipinos communicate. Companies prefer Filipino agents because they speak with empathy and clarity to things robots can't replicate. Even in international schools, Filipino teachers are praised for their teaching style. They're patient, encouraging, and easy to understand. Many countries, including Japan and South Korea, Hire Filipino English tutors because their accent is neutral, friendly, and effective for learners. But despite all this, there's still that stereotype that Filipino English isn't international. Some people think only Western accents sound professional. But here's the twist. When Angela's speech went viral, linguists around the world started studying Philippine English as a legitimate variety of English just. Like American or British English, it has its own rules, rhythm, and expressions. For example, Filipinos say, take a rest instead of get some rest. They say, comfort room instead of bathroom. These aren't mistakes, they read part of a recognized English variety used by millions across the world. In 2022, the Oxford English Dictionary even added several Filipino English words, like kilig, barkada, and balikbion. Proof that the world isn't ignoring Filipino English anymore, it's embracing it. When Angela finished her UN speech, something magical happened. Delegates from the US, Europe, and Africa approached her, saying how powerful and clear her message was. Wanna be inside your English has more heart than any accent I've ever heard. Her response, because in the Philippines, we don't just speak English. We feel it. That line spread everywhere. It became a quote that symbolized the Filipino voice, warm, emotional, yet crystal clear. After that event, more Filipinos began speaking with confidence. Schools started celebrating Philippine English Month. Influencers proudly used Filipino expressions in their English vlogs. Even call centers allowed natural accents instead of forcing American ones. And the result? People connected more. Communication became more authentic. Filipinos realized they didn't need to sound foreign to sound professional. They just needed to sound real. Today, Filipino speakers are being recognized globally in international media, education, business, and diplomacy. The Philippines ranks among the top countries in the world for English proficiency. From teachers in Tokyo to nurses in Canada, from diplomats to YouTubers, Filipinos are everywhere, spreading warmth with every word. It's funny how the world works. The same accent once considered local is now celebrated as global. The same voice people mocked is now broadcasted in the most powerful halls of the planet. Angela Cruz may have stood alone on that UN stage, but behind her were millions of proud Filipinos who speak English in their own beautiful way. Her voice wasn't just hers, it was the voice of an entire nation that never stopped believing in itself. So the next time someone says Filipino English isn't international, just smile. Because somewhere out there, a Filipino speaker is changing the world one word at a time. And maybe that's the most powerful English of all.